What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. We have news. We're talking about Di Maria. It seems that he's most likely to be the first player Juventus could be bringing in to the club in the summer mercado. Then we got to talk about Pogba. Has this situation been unlocked? As well as some of the other names that we're looking at, clarifying what's going on in the transfer market. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today it's Saturday, May 14th, 2022, and of course I got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day. Before we do anything though, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. But without further ado, we're just going to jump into it. Let's get into it. Very first news story of the day is about our man, Angel Di Maria, and then Luca Bianchi in Gazzetta dello Sport's reporting, saying that Juve Di Maria, there is optimism for a one-year deal with a short contract. The Bianconeri, I couldn't even say it right, the Bianconeri would lose the benefits of the Decreto Crescita, yet the deal remains open. By the end of the month, it will be decided. Going off of that, though, we also have more updates going with that. And Tutto Sports reporting saying that the first demands of Angel Di Maria's entourage, 8 million euros plus bonuses, were deemed too high by Juventus. New contacts will be about in the coming days. There is confidence in arriving calmly to an agreement. So one thing we know, obviously, Arriva Bene and Cherubini do not want to overpay for whatever player they're going to get in here, and the 8 million euros is still expensive. They weren't willing to pay. They were willing. We know the situation with Dybala, how that went out. For Angel Di Maria, he's an older player. You can get him for a little bit cheaper than that, and that's what they're going to do. And I think that's with all full confidence from me. Not that that matters, but I feel like they're going to get him for a cheaper wage there. Continuing on with that story, though, we also have another part to it, and it's Mirko Di Natale talking about the situation with Di Maria, looking like he's going to be the most likely first piece, says that on Di Maria, the feeling is very good. He has been proposed to many clubs, but the team closest to signing him right now, it's Juve. Concrete news in this sense could arrive by the end of the week following the end of the championship. So once everything's done, the overall, landscape, the Champions League, all that stuff is out of the way. We can focus in on this mercado, and it looks like Juventus are going to move, and they're hoping to move quick, signing Di Maria, then focusing their efforts in the other aspects that need to be taken care of. We know Raspadori is a potential option, and then, of course, the midfield, center backs, left back. There's a lot to be worked on in this mercado, and I know, trust me, I've heard what Arriva Bene said. I know what he said about nothing getting done when it comes to this mercado, and it's going to be really focused on the winter because of the World Cup and all that. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think this mercado, this summer mercado, is as important as it can get right now for Juventus, and they need to make big moves to reinforce the squad and to make the squad much better than what we saw. And we'll see how much Allegri pays into that as well. Let's continue it on. The next story of the day is talking about Paul Pogba, his situation with Juventus, saying that Tutto Sport is reporting that Pogba would be convinced to cut his salary from the current 13 million euro net per season to 7 or 8 million euros, even less than he would receive at PSG. The deal is not yet closed, but at the moment, everything points to white smoke soon. So if you wanted good news, if you wanted the big signings, Paul Pogba would fit that description. I understand there's injury issues, there's other things that could be going on with Paul Pogba that could bring up a little bit of worry when it comes to signing the player, especially when you really have your heart set on the likes of Milinkovic-Savic, wanting to get him to come to Juventus. Unfortunately, it's starting to feel less. It feels like it's falling out of our grasp, out of our reach as fans. I'm right there in that boat with you. I understand wanting Milinkovic-Savic. But if it's not possible, a nice consolation prize would be that of Paul Pogba. It would be a very good gift for the club. Obviously, you're bringing in the era of good feelings again. But maybe we also need to worry about, maybe we also need to consider how much should we worry about going back in time. We talked about Allegri. We talked about the situation going on there. If you haven't already, check out our other videos, our live stream, our debate yesterday. Julian Genotti and Alejandro Fancello had an amazing debate talking about the pros and cons of Allegri, the situation moving forward for Juventus, and all that goes along with that. So definitely check that out. But definitely, our retreads, Allegri, Pogba, the way to go for Juventus. I still think Paul Pogba is a generational top-tier talent that Juventus could get and bring in. And obviously, you bring in a lot of good feelings there, given his first stint around here and how much he just loves the club. So we'll see what goes on there, but it looks like things are looking promising when it comes to Paul Pogba. Next up, we talk about the center back position, and that is Mirko Di Natale, who is commenting on it, saying that it will be necessary to understand what Gatti's future will be. One of the names that the management is working on currently is that Badiashile. He is a U21 player of France who is liked for his age and quality. In that list of names, there is also, of course, Bremer. But there is already an agreement between Inter, and it does not seem easy to find an agreement with Torino. We know the nonsense going on there. Cairo, obviously, not good terms with Juventus, never a good, and never an ally of the club, never anything like that. So right now, you're probably looking at more and more likely that Juventus will have to look elsewhere. And I think you can never, there's not much that you could really look at that would be much better than looking at Badiashile and what he can bring to the club. The only issue there is how much money are Juventus willing to pay to bring in a player like Badiashile? He's going to be very expensive. I'm thinking this Mercado. When I say very expensive, I'm thinking 40 million euros is pretty expensive. That's probably what they're going to ask for him. Are they willing to pay that amount for the player? When Chiellini's moving out, Chiellini's moving on, probably to the MLS. It looks like Los Angeles, maybe his destination there. But at the same time, are Juventus willing to invest that kind of money in the defense? Are they willing to do that when you have other areas of concern that have been needing it for a long time? We're talking about, of course, the midfield, the whole situation going on there. It'll be something to monitor, something to keep an eye on, so we'll see what happens. I'm still a staunch believer that Gatti really doesn't factor in for Juventus, really. If they do, I would worry. I mean, like I said, Gatti would be a great replacement for a player like Rugani, a situation like that. But to replace Chiellini, the stalwart of the defense, that's a different story. Let's continue on. The left back situation. We also need to talk about there and who the replacements could be. Mirko Di Natale comments saying that the left backs, the options are Emerson Palmieri, Udogi, Marcos Alonso, Vindal, and Renan Lodi are the names, but at the moment there's nothing concrete. Well, I think yesterday, and I apologize, I forget who said it, but there was a report basically just, I think it may have been Paulo Namolo who basically put the X on which players are not an option. It looks like I think Marcos Alonso may have fallen in there, but I do know that Renan Lodi, a player that I was kind of positive on, that I was kind of high on, is not really in the conversation. So mark him off your list if you believe in what Paulo Namolo says. Though Mirko Di Natale does say that he thinks it's still in the running. I don't think so. I think right now, watching from what I've seen from the player, Udogi would be the way to go. Obviously, Italian shill, you know me, if you're on the channel, I love seeing the Italian players or players that can play for the Azzurri go to stay with Juventus, but I think he also could be an affordable option that Juventus could bring in. Definitely keep your eye out for that of Udogi. We'll move forward to a surprise name popping up in the Mercado, and a enemy, if you will, turned possibly a face, heel turn. I never got into wrestling. That's not my thing. I know, me being from Kentucky, you think, I'd be watching wrestling. That's not me. That's not my thing. But I do know the term heel to a face, and that is the situation that we could be seeing here with a player that is mentioned in this report. Gazzetta dello Sport's talking about bringing an Inter player to come to play for Juventus. Important signs are arriving from Perisic's entourage. An offer is expected from Juventus for a 2-year contract with an option for a third year of 6 million euros per season. Ivan appears convinced by the Juventus opportunity, even if denials arrive from Turin. This is one that, this is a news story to me. I'm not so sure about it. I don't know what I really believe when it comes to this. Obviously, it's funny, just given the situation in the Coppa Italia. He was the one that really put the nail in the coffin of Juventus, getting the penalty and then also putting that banger there at the end. I got to give him credit. It was a good goal that he scored. Do I think that's a smart move? I know he's a 33-year-old midfielder. He's an older name. Is that a name that you bring in alongside, a Pogba to reinforce it a little bit? It could be a decent option, especially if it's only for a year or two. But at the same time, I don't know how much I buy into the story. I want to see more and see if this develops in the next coming days. We'll follow it then. But for right now, I'm staying iffy on it. Also, there's been reports out there that Chelsea have been interested and he could potentially go to Chelsea. So we'll see. Definitely keep an eye on that. It could be a lot of nothing. So we'll see. Nicky Fagioli, Nicolo Fagioli, obviously. Corriere dello Sport's reporting saying that Nicolo Fagioli, due to expire in 2023, could be at a crossroads, renewal or transfer. Lazio remain at the window. Juventus could bet more decisively on Manetti. We talked about this multiple times over recently. To me, I really think it is a three-horse race. Fagioli, Rovella, Manetti, who could end up playing for Juventus. And I think Manetti now has put himself a little bit ahead of both of those players, especially when those players could be utilized in the Mercado. We're talking about Fagioli potentially being used at Lazio. Could that open up things for SMS to actually come instead of Paul Pogba? We'll see. Keep an eye on that, especially if they're really interested in bringing in the player that is Fagioli, who helped get Cremonese to play in Serie A. That'll be a big benefit for Juventus. And then also, if you look at Rovella, the situation developing there potentially, I know how you guys feel, but he could be utilized in a trade or a swap, or to bring down the price of that of Nicolo Big Z. You know what I'm talking about, Zaniolo. I was about to say Fagioli. There's a lot of Nicolas out here, right? All right, let's continue on with the other part of it, and that is Romeo Gressi basically confirming Fagioli and Juventus to decide his future in the coming days. There's a meeting with the agents next week that will happen. So we'll get an update here in the next couple weeks, or I guess next week. So within 2 weeks, you'll have an update knowing where Juventus sits, where Fagioli sits, and what his future looks like. We'll have your update. I know a lot of people are big on the player, and we'll be disappointed to see him go, but it's a business overall. We'll see what happens. Business decisions. And then finally, the last bit of news for today, Calcio Mercato are reporting saying that Artur will be sold in the summer, but to avoid a heavy capital loss, the only situation will be a loan with right of redemption for at least 30 million euros. So definitely keep an eye on Artur. I think obviously he is one of the players that has the highest value out there, regardless of how he worked out for Juventus, how his style of play, slow style of play. There are other places where I think that he can flourish and that he can be a really good midfielder. And this is unfortunately Juventus is not going to work out for him. But at the same time, at least he's a valuable player that you could probably feel pretty comfortable that Juventus will be able to move and not just be stuck with him eating a contract. I don't need to tell you, if you're a fan, you know the situation we've been dealing with in recent years, to be honest. Definitely keep an eye out. Arsenal would be probably one of the top of the list there for where he could land. That'll do it for today. That's the news I have for you. Try to do it as quickly as possible. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who do you like? What players are you excited about the Di Maria potentially signing for Juventus? What do you think about Pogba, that he's willing to take a pay cut? That speaks pretty positively on his relationship with the club and the way that he views himself, that he's willing to take this pay cut to come to Juventus, to maybe get the gang back together, do what he wants to try to help better Juventus' future, right? That's what I'm trying to say. All the other names and topics we talked about, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Follow Bianconeri Zone at Bianconeri Zone on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. We'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.